Hi, I'm Evelyn Rhodes, and I'm 32 years old, and today I'm going to tell you how a ski trip I'd been dreaming about for 3 long years turned into the moment I realized something in my relationship and my life had to change forever. Before we get into it, please like, share, and subscribe if you want more stories like mine. And trust me, this one, it doesn't go where you think it will. I had been holding myself together for months. Work stress, family obligations, relationship strain, all of it piling on top of each other. And this trip felt like the one place I could breathe again. A reset button. A week of snow, silence, and just being with the man I loved. Adrian squeezed my hand as we pulled into Timberline Mountain Resort, sunlight glittering off the slopes like crushed diamonds. "Eve," he said softly, "can you believe we're finally here?" He had that warm half smile I fell for years ago, and for a moment, I let myself believe everything would be perfect. "I know," I breathed. "It looks even better than the photos." The resort rose above us in cedar beams and natural stone, huge floor-to-ceiling windows revealing the massive lobby fireplace roaring inside. I inhaled sharply. The thin Colorado air felt like relief. Adrian chuckled. Greg really came through with that discount. Greg was Adrian's old college friend and manager of the resort. The friends and family rate still wasn't cheap, but it was the only reason this trip was within reach. And honestly, I was grateful. So grateful I could almost forget the tension that had been simmering between Adrian and me the past few months. Almost. "We deserve this," I said, leaning back against the seat. "It's been too long since we did anything just for us." 8 months, yeah, buskins, he said. But who's counting? The truth was, I was. I had been counting every missed date night, every weekend we spent with his parents instead of each other, every quiet moment where Adrian seemed distracted, distant. But I didn't want to ruin this. Not here, not today. We unloaded our SUV, letting the crisp mountain air sting our cheeks. When we stepped through the grand lobby doors, Greg was already waving wildly from across the room. "Evelyn, Adrian," he called as he rushed over. "Welcome to Timberline Mountain." He pulled Adrian into a rib-crushing hug before turning to me with a grin. "And you must be Evelyn. I've heard so much. Adrian used to talk about you nonstop." I smiled politely, though I noticed Adrian stiffen slightly beside me. I brushed it off. Probably just nerves. Or excitement. The lobby buzzed with guests in ski gear. Hot cocoa steam rising from the cafe. The scent of pine and burning wood curling through the air. It was perfect. "You guys picked the best week," Greg said, handing us 2 sleek key cards. "We just renovated the Alpine Suite. Private hot tub, panoramic views, the whole deal. You're going to love it." I squeezed Adrian's arm. "We'll definitely give it a full test run." Greg's wife, Rachel, appeared with a tray of welcome drinks. "You must be Evelyn. How was the drive up from Denver?" "Surprisingly easy," I answered. Rachel smiled warmly. "Well, rest up. Adrian, your friend never stops talking about how excited he is to have you two here." I noticed Adrian's laugh was just a little forced. And when Greg casually remarked, "By the way, guess who asked about you the other week? Marissa, you remember her, right?" Adrian nearly choked on his drink. He recovered quickly, brushing it off as nothing. But something in the way he avoided my eyes made my stomach tighten. Marissa. His ex. The one his mother still accidentally brought up whenever she could. I forced myself to let it go. For now. The first day was everything we needed. Ski lessons, laughter, slipping on the snow like 2 overgrown kids who had no idea what we were doing. Adrian held my hand whenever I got scared of the slope's angle. We shared hot chocolate at the Mid-Mountain Lodge, our cheeks flushed, our gloves dripping with melted snow. For a few hours, I had my Adrian back, the one who used to plan little adventures with me, the one who used to look at me like I was his entire world. That night, we soaked in the private hot tub under a sky so clear, I swear I could count every star. For the first time in months, I felt light. But peace never stays long in stories like mine. We were curled up by the gas fireplace, planning tomorrow's ski routes, when Adrian's phone rang. His smile vanished before he even picked it up. "It's my mom," he murmured. Something in his tone made me sit up straighter. He stepped onto the deck to answer. I watched him through the glass, pacing, rubbing his forehead, nodding while she spoke. His shoulders slumped, and I already knew. This wasn't good. When he came back inside, he looked pale. "What happened?" I asked. He hesitated. They're here." I blinked. "Here? What do you mean here?" "At the front desk." His voice was barely above a whisper. My parents drove in. They said they wanted to surprise us. The word surprise felt like a punch. No, I said, shaking my head. Adrian, no. This was our week. We planned this for months. You didn't invite them. I know, he said quickly. I know, I told them that. But they said they saw your Instagram story about the resort and thought it would be fun to join. To join us? I repeated. Here, in our suite? He opened his mouth to respond, but the doorbell rang. We both froze. Adrian's face drained of color. They must have gotten our room number from the desk. I felt something inside me twist painfully. He opened the door, and there they were, Lawrence and Patricia Cole, dressed in matching luxury ski jackets, designer luggage stacked beside them. Surprise! Lawrence boomed, pushing his way inside before either of us could react. Wow, look at this place. You two really know how to treat yourselves. Patricia brushed past me with a cool nod. Evelyn, dear, she looked around. Such a quaint suite. Marissa used to prefer the Summit Villas, but this will do, I suppose. My jaw clenched. Adrian tried desperately to smooth things over. Mom, Dad, we didn't know you were coming. This suite only has one bedroom. Oh, that's no issue, Patricia said with a wave. Your father and I will take the bedroom. You two can use the pull-out sofa. You're young. You can handle it. I felt the ground shift beneath my feet. Adrian exchanged a helpless look with me. This trip was supposed to be ours. But standing there as Lawrence helped himself to our complimentary wine and Patricia inspected the bedroom like an interior critic, I knew something was breaking. Not just the vacation. Something deeper. Something inside me. Lawrence was already uncorking the complimentary wine as if the suite belonged to him, swirling it in a glass, like some self-appointed connoisseur. Patricia drifted from corner to corner, evaluating the decor with narrowed eyes, murmuring soft critiques as though she were touring a home, staging that didn't quite meet her standards. Adrian stood frozen in place, guilt flickering across his face. I felt like I was slipping underwater, slow, silent, powerless. So, Lawrence said loudly, what's the plan for tomorrow? Will we all ski together? And do we get the same discount you two got? I assume your friend, what's his name, Greg, can help us out. Adrian opened his mouth, closed it again. His throat bobbed. I stepped forward before he could falter. The discount was a personal favor to us, I said calmly. Greg provided it because he and Adrian go way back. It wasn't meant for additional guests. Patricia stopped mid-step and turned to me with a practiced, pitying smile. Oh, Evelyn, she said. Family should always share privileges. Surely you understand that. The way she said my name, soft, condescending, with an undercurrent of accusation, made something deep in my stomach tighten. Adrian tried to intervene. Mom, Eve is right. Greg can't just... Adrian, Patricia interrupted. Marissa always made room for us. She never complained about the cost, even when things were tight for her. There it was, the name, the comparison I knew was coming. Marissa, the ex-girlfriend his parents adored, the one his mother still followed on Instagram by accident, the one whose praises she sang every holiday gathering as if she weren't trying to undermine me with every sweetly venomous word. A dull ringing filled my ears. I inhaled, exhaled, held on. I'm calling Greg, I said quietly. Adrian nodded, relieved someone was taking control, even if it wasn't him. On the deck, the cold air bit my cheeks. I dialed Greg, embarrassed that he had to be dragged into this circus. When he answered, I explained everything. The surprise arrival, the bedroom demand, the expectation of free rooms and discounted lift passes. He sighed sympathetically. Evelyn, don't worry, he said. I've seen guests like this before. I can offer them a standard rate room, but I can't extend your discount. And don't feel bad, this isn't on you. I swallowed. I wanted this week to be peaceful. I'll handle my end, he assured me, but you may need to handle yours. When I went back inside, Lawrence lifted his glass toward me as if I'd been gone too long for his liking. So, what's the deal? Discount or not? I kept my voice steady. Greg can offer you a room at the regular rate. That's the best he can do. Lawrence scoffed so loudly, I swear the glassware vibrated. You've got to be kidding me. These resorts charge an arm and a leg. We drove 5 hours to be here. We deserve something better than that. Dad, Adrian said gently, we didn't invite you. This was supposed to be our trip. Well, excuse me, Patricia said, crossing her arms dramatically. I suppose wanting to spend time with our only son makes us terrible parents. I felt something snap inside me. Not anger, not irritation. Something sharper. Something final. Patricia, I said softly, this is our vacation, our suite, our plans. You showed up without asking, and now you're expecting us to rearrange everything." Her eyes narrowed. "Are you implying we're a burden?" Yes, I thought, but I didn't say it. What I said was, "You can stay in the room Greg offered or drive back home, but we're not sharing this suite." Patricia turned to Adrian, her voice trembling. Too perfectly, too rehearsed. "You're really going to let her speak to us like that? After everything we've done for you? Marissa never—" "Mom!" Adrian snapped, louder than I'd ever heard him. "Stop bringing up Marissa." Patricia flinched, real shock glinting in her eyes. Lawrence bristled like a guard dog. "Now listen here, son." "No," I said suddenly, calm, terrifyingly calm. "You listen." I walked toward the bedroom and began pulling out my suitcase. "Evelyn, what are you doing?" Adrian asked, voice trembling. "I'm leaving," I said. "What?" Lawrence barked. "Because we wanted to join your vacation? That's ridiculous." I didn't even look at him. I focused on folding clothes, stacking toiletries, packing the few fragile hopes I had left for the week. Adrian followed me into the bedroom. He closed the door behind us. "Eve, are you really leaving?" "I am." My voice didn't waver. "But I'm not asking you to choose between me and your parents." His shoulders slumped with relief, then tensed again when I continued. "I'm choosing me." He blinked, stunned. "I can't spend this vacation walking on eggshells while your parents insult me, compare me to your ex, take our bed, demand discounts, and bulldoze through every boundary we set. I love you, Adrian, but I'm done letting other people rewrite our story." He sank onto the edge of the bed, hands in his hair. "I know you're right. I know. It's hard. They've always been like this, and I've always just let them." "I know," I whispered. "That's why I'm giving you a choice, not an ultimatum." His voice cracked. "What do you mean?" "I'm going to another resort." I zipped my suitcase closed. "You can come with me, or you can stay with them, but I need you to decide right now." Silence filled the room like heavy snowfall. Seconds, then a full minute, then another. I stared at him, waiting, bracing. Finally, he stood, and he reached for his suitcase. "I'm with you," he whispered. Relief washed through me in a wave so overwhelming, I had to close my eyes. We packed quickly, ignoring the arguments erupting outside the bedroom door. Patricia's voice rose in disbelief. Lawrence shouted something about ingratitude, but we didn't pause. We didn't look back. When we emerged with our luggage, Lawrence stared at Adrian as if he were a stranger. "You're actually leaving because we came to surprise you? Really?" "We're leaving," Adrian said firmly, "because you didn't respect our boundaries." "Where will you go?" Patricia demanded. "That," I said softly, "isn't your concern." Patricia's lips curled. "Marissa would never have—" "Enough," Adrian said, his voice steady. "Stop comparing Evelyn to her." Patricia froze. We walked out of the suite, down the hallway, through the lobby doors, into the cold night. Snowflakes drifted around us, settling on our bags, our coats, our hair. It felt like escaping a life I didn't want anymore. It felt like the first breath of something new. The drive to the new resort felt strangely silent, thicker than the snowstorm gathering over the mountains. Adrian gripped the steering wheel as if it were the only thing anchoring him to the moment. I watched him in the dim glow of the dashboard lights, wondering what it cost him to walk away from his parents like that. Snow Peak Lodge sat 30 minutes away, perched on a ridge overlooking a dark forest dusted with silver. When we arrived, it was like stepping into another world. Softer lighting, quieter halls, a fireplace crackling in the lobby instead of lobby chatter. It felt safe. Greg had already called ahead. "Welcome, Ms. Rhodes. Mr. Cole," the receptionist said as she handed us a pair of keys. "Your suite is ready. If you need anything at all, just call the front desk." Our suite was warm and rustic, all wood and stone, with a breathtaking view of the valley and the endless snowfall. But what I noticed most was the quiet. No voices, no expectations, no manipulation. Just silence. Adrian sank onto the couch, elbows on his knees. "Eve, I'm sorry." I sat beside him without touching him yet. I know it wasn't easy. "It was like I was watching myself from the outside," he said hoarsely, "standing there, letting them talk over me, letting them talk over you. And all I could hear was my own voice telling me this is what we've always done. We give in, we adjust, we let them shift the ground beneath us. Because if we push back," he exhaled shakily, "Mom cries, Dad gets angry, and I become the villain." His words were honest, raw. They cut deeper than any accusation could. "Adrian," I said gently, "You're not a villain for wanting a life that doesn't revolve around their moods." He didn't answer, but he leaned into me, just a little, and that told me enough. We fell asleep almost immediately that night, exhaustion anchoring us. But my phone buzzed at dawn, dragging me from the heavy quiet. It was Greg. "Evelyn, good morning. Sorry to call so early, but you're going to want to hear this." I stepped onto our balcony, breath fogging in the cold air. "What happened?" He exhaled slowly. "Your in-laws tried to, well, charge their room to your account." I closed my eyes. Of course they did. "But don't worry," he continued. "The system flagged it instantly. They tried insisting you gave permission. Then they said I gave permission. Then Patricia pretended she didn't understand how billing works." A bitter laugh escaped me. "That sounds about right." "Then," Greg added, "they demanded I extend your friends and family discount to them. Said they're basically extended family now, since Adrian and I were in a fraternity together." I pressed my fingers to my temples. "Please tell me they didn't cause a scene." "Oh, they caused a scene," Greg said. "A big one. Your father-in-law threatened to speak to the owner, which is me." I rubbed my forehead. "Greg, I'm so sorry." "Not your fault, but that's not even the worst of it." My body tensed. "What now?" "They tried to claim the lift passes under your names. Said they misplaced theirs. Staff caught them trying to use Evelyn Rhodes and Adrian Cole to get on the slopes." My stomach dropped. "They actually impersonated us?" "Yes. Luckily, we'd already alerted everyone, but still, it's not a good look." I sighed so deep it felt like something inside me cracked. "Thank you for handling it." "Evelyn," Greg said gently, "you two did the right thing. They're not easy people." I hung up, leaning against the railing, staring at the snowfall, turning the world white and silent. This wasn't just disrespect. This was entitlement on a scale I hadn't fully understood. And it wasn't new. It had been happening for years, to Adrian, and, by extension, to me. When I went back inside, Adrian sat up, worried. "Who was that?" "Greg," I hesitated. "Your parents tried to put their room on our bill, and the lift passes." His face went pale. "You're kidding." "I wish I were." He closed his eyes, jaw tightening. "They used to do that to me in college. Dad would say he forgot his wallet at home and tell the waiter I'd pay. Mom would promise she'd reimburse me and then forgot. Every time." I sat down across from him. "Why didn't you ever tell me?" "Because—" He rubbed his hands over his face. "Because they always said it was out of love, that parents should be helped, that I owed them. And growing up, I believed that. I thought it was normal." "And now?" I asked softly. He looked at me, eyes raw. "Now I'm seeing how it affects the person I love. And I hate it. I hate that my inability to stand up to them put you in this position." My breath caught. "I'm not asking you to hate them, Adrian." "I don't hate them," he murmured. "I hate how they make me feel, and how they make you feel." His honesty cracked something open inside me. I walked to him and cupped his face. "We can fix this, but you have to want things to change." "I do," he whispered. The next 2 days were the first truly peaceful moments we'd had in months. We skied down beginner slopes until we fell laughing into the snow. We cooked late dinners in our little kitchenette. We talked, really talked, about things we'd avoided for years. But the calm never lasted long. On the third afternoon, my phone buzzed again. Rachel this time. "You're not going to believe this," she said. "Your in-laws wrote a string of negative reviews on our resort's page. All lies, all dramatic, all targeting Greg personally." My heart sank. "How bad?" "They claimed the food made them sick. They never ate here. They said the rooms were filthy, didn't stay in them. They even accused Greg of yelling at them in the lobby." My jaw clenched. "What's going to happen?" "Well," she said, sounding both amused and exasperated, "corporate reviewed everything. Between surveillance footage, card logs, and their conflicting statements, the legal team banned them." "Banned them?" I repeated slowly. "From all 20 resorts in our chain," Rachel confirmed. "Indefinitely. They triggered every red flag for fraudulent and abusive guests. It's extremely rare, but they qualified." I stared at the snowy mountains outside. "Adrian isn't going to handle that well." Rachel softened. "He might surprise you." That evening I told him. He stared at the floor for a long time before speaking. Maybe this is good. Maybe it's the wake-up call they needed." "Or the one you needed?" I asked gently. He looked up at me with a small, bittersweet smile. "Both." We spent the rest of the vacation in quiet understanding, two people realizing that leaving that suite wasn't the end of something. It was the beginning. Because standing by the fireplace on our final night, watching the flames flicker, Adrian slipped his hand into mine and whispered, Evelyn, I don't ever want to let my parents' behavior define our future. I want us. Just us. And for the first time in a long time, I believed him. I believed in us. Returning home after that week in the mountains felt strangely surreal, like stepping back into a world that didn't quite fit us anymore. Everything was familiar, but nothing was the same. Not the way Adrian held my hand a little tighter, not the way silence settled between us, not as something uncomfortable, but as something honest, healing, necessary. We unpacked slowly that night, still moving with the soft exhaustion of people who had been running on emotional adrenaline for days. I set our gloves by the radiator, watching the melted snow drip onto a towel. It felt symbolic somehow, ice thawing, tension melting, something sticky and painful giving way to warmth. Adrian sat at the edge of the bed, staring at his phone like it held a ghost. I'm scared to turn it on. I joined him, brushing my thumb across his hand. It's okay. Whatever they sent, we'll handle it. He nodded, then he powered it on. The notifications poured in instantly. Calls, voicemails, messages from unknown numbers, probably his mother using family friends to bypass his silence. He opened one email, exhaled sharply, then passed me the phone. From Patricia Cole. Subject, deeply disappointed. The message was long, dramatic, accusatory, a full symphony of guilt tactics. They blamed us for embarrassing them at the resort, for leaving them stranded like unwanted baggage, for choosing a girlfriend over family, for ruining their reputation after being banned across the resort chain. They even wrote that if Marissa had been with Adrian, none of this chaos would have happened. I felt my chest tighten, not with anger this time, but with clarity, crystal clear clarity. Adrian closed his eyes, jaw clenched. I can't do this anymore. Then don't, I whispered. He looked up at me as if he were seeing a new horizon. What if they cut me off? What if they never forgive me? Then maybe for the first time in your life, I said gently, your peace won't depend on their approval. Something in him shifted at that, a quiet, resolute shift, like a mountain settling after a storm. He turned back to the email, typed slowly, and read the draft aloud. Mom, Dad, I love you, but I won't tolerate manipulation, disrespect, or boundary violations anymore. Evelyn is my partner, and you treated her terribly. You treated me terribly. I'm taking space. When you're ready to respect both of us, we can talk. Adrian. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't cruel. It was firm, clear, healthy. He hit send, and when he set the phone down, something in the room lightened, like a door finally closed on a draft. The following months unfolded quietly. Not peaceful, quiet, which sometimes is its own kind of peace. His parents tried everything, and voicemails dripping with guilt, teary emails about family loyalty, angry messages accusing me of turning Adrian against them, social media posts designed to shame him publicly, which backfired spectacularly. But Adrian stayed firm, and I stayed by him. Meanwhile, word about their behavior at Timberline spread further than any of us expected. Resort staff talk. Hospitality forums talk even more. Within weeks, Adrian's parents found themselves politely declined by several boutique hotels and lodges. Apparently, the words banned guest traveled quickly in those circles. One evening, over dinner, Adrian showed me a text from his cousin. Dude, your parents are famous. In a bad way. My friend sent me a Reddit thread about the nightmare couple who got banned from 20 resorts. It's them. It's literally them. I nearly dropped my fork. Adrian groaned, burying his face in his hands. Oh my God. Please tell me you're joking. He wasn't. The thread had screenshots of their fake reviews, staff messages about their behavior, and a photo that someone anonymously snapped in the lobby during their meltdown. Everything was blurred, except their faces. It had gone viral. For a moment, guilt flickered in Adrian's eyes. Then, relief. A strange, guilty relief. You're not responsible for their behavior, I reminded him gently. They did this themselves. He leaned back, exhaling. Maybe this is what needed to happen. Spring passed, then summer, then fall. We grew stronger. He started therapy. We built routines that were ours, not dictated by someone else's expectations. One crisp October evening, Adrian sat beside me on the couch, scrolling through his emails. I felt him still. What is it? I asked. They want to meet, he said quietly, for dinner, to talk, to apologize. I raised an eyebrow. A real apology, or another guilt letter disguised as one? He showed me the email. It was shockingly, humble. Then he whispered, "Do you think we should go?" I thought about it. Not about them, about him, about healing, about boundaries, about the version of Adrian I'd watched grow over the past months. "I think," I said slowly, "that if you feel ready, then yes. But if you're doing it because you feel obligated, then no." He nodded. "I want closure. I want them to hear me." The restaurant was warm and softly lit, full of clinking glasses and low conversation. Patricia and Lawrence sat at a table near the window, shoulders tense, eyes cautious. For the first time in years, Adrian didn't shrink beside them. He sat tall, grounded, present. Patricia's voice wavered. "Adrian, Evelyn, thank you for coming." Lawrence wasn't loud or defensive this time. He looked tired, human. "We've been in therapy," he admitted, surprising all of us. "We had to. When the resort situation happened, it was a wake-up call." Patricia nodded, real tears gathering, not the weaponized ones. "We didn't realize we were hurting you, hurting your relationship. We thought we were included, needed, but we see now we overstepped." She turned to me, voice trembling. "Evelyn, I'm sorry, truly. I shouldn't have compared you to Marissa. That wasn't fair to either of you." For a moment, I didn't know what to say, but the sincerity in her voice, uneven, vulnerable, reached something in me. "Thank you," I said quietly. "Change takes time, but this is a start." We weren't magically healed. This wasn't a movie where one dinner fixes years of dysfunction. But it was real, and real was better. Today, things are different. Adrian's parents ask before visiting. They don't demand or expect anything. They respect our space. They respect me. And when old habits slip out, as habits tend to do, Adrian calmly resets the boundary. And they listen. Sometimes walking away isn't the end of a relationship. Sometimes it's the only way to rebuild it. A year after the trip, Adrian and I returned to Timberline Mountain Resort. Just the two of us, with Greg and Rachel greeting us like old friends. The sky glowed orange over the mountains as we settled into the hot tub, steam rising around us like a halo. Adrian brushed a wet strand of hair from my cheek. "Eve, thank you for not giving up on me." I leaned against him, letting the warmth sink into my bones. "Thank you for choosing us." He kissed the top of my head gently. "Always." And there it was, peace, soft, earned, real. So now I'll ask you what I had to ask myself. Is keeping the peace worth it if you're the one breaking? Or is it better to set boundaries, even if the world shakes for a while? Tell me in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories like this.